Well, hello. My name is Brad Moser, and thank you for checking out my talk. So, this is the first time I've had a chance to be invited for giving a talk at an IPLS session. In the past, it's been contributed talks, which has been a lot of fun. But I'm so happy the community reached out to me to share some of my experiences and what it's been like to develop courses and some of the projects that I'm working on. So, you want to teach an IPLS course? Awesome! Yes, great job. Is there a shortcut? No, there's really no shortcut. I'm not here to provide you any easy answers. I'm sorry. Instead, I really want to be able to talk about what it's really like to create a course and the time that it takes. So, what does it require? It requires curiosity. I think you need to be interested in this material. You want to teach bio majors, you want to teach pre-med majors. Requires humility because we're physicists and we're stepping into a world that we don't know as well, maybe at all, stepping into the world of biology, into the world of medicine. We need dedication. Uh, we need to really devote ourselves to learning this material and to knowing we're not going to get it right all the time. And it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to take years. I think years at working through these materials and learning to better ourselves and developing materials for ourselves and finding the materials that we need. What's the payoff? Well, students who appreciate and like physics, there's been so many times that maybe the attitudes of students in the class haven't been the greatest because here they are, they really want to go into maybe some kind of health field or they want to go into biology, and they're stuck taking a physics course. But if we show them that we're willing to reach out and show that we're interested in what they're interested in, and we want to help them learn the physics that's relevant for them, they respond. And then you get a deep and satisfying connection with these life science students, a connection that can stretch over years. So how do I design an IPLS course? Yeah, exactly. Where do we go? Well, like I said before, it doesn't happen overnight. For me, it started at the University of New England. I started at UNE in 2010, and I was there through 2018. We had a studio environment and modeling instruction, so already I was very lucky. The fluids curriculum was the gateway. So early on, when I first arrived, my colleague J.V. Visenka was working with Dawn Meredith at University of New Hampshire, and they were doing some studies on buoyancy and pressure and starting to build a concept inventory. So we were beginning to do some new labs associated with that. So that was 2011 for me. Brought in some new applications of pressure in 2012, so kind of digging through the textbooks for examples of, say, pressure in the human body, and thinking of the human body as a pressure vessel that has greater pressure at the bottom simply due to hydrostatic pressure. Things really got going though in 2014 when I got involved with helping to develop a kinesthetic circulatory system model. And I'm going to provide a number of links on the PDF slides. So you'll see this slide is highlighted here. That'll be something that you can click on in the PDF file, and you can go to a paper that we put out about that. So this is a great little model, bucket of water with red food coloring, and the water goes in and it branches out into various branches, and we can monitor the velocity of bubbles and the pressure at each of these different branches. 2015, now as I'm beginning to understand more about the circulatory system, writing new questions and learning more and being able to write more. Introduce a kinesthetic beach ball random walk model, a diffusion model. Jamie Visenka was key in this, and here you can see some students who are throwing tennis balls at a beach ball, and we get to the idea of the random walk through that. Finally, in 2017, I have a robust fluids unit, and we're talking pressure-volume relationships, looking at blood pressure, Bernoulli and Poiseuille's laws, dynamic pressure, diffusion. This is a great unit. Meanwhile, I'm slowly introducing other pieces as well. So I can think kind of 2014 was when I really got going with bringing in some more of these materials. So I would kind of consider myself truly an IPLS person as of about 7 years ago. We developed a biomechanics-themed torque lab, stress and strain of gummy worms and marshmallows. So I found a great paper on compressing a marshmallow and looking at stress strain there. We bought a bunch of the really long gummy worms, and we used those in place of a spring in order to look at stress strain. An ultrasound-themed lab with sound pulses in PVC pipes. EKG-themed electric potential lab. I've kind of only been dabbling in this a little bit. I'm still pretty new to doing that. Spectrometers and pulse oximetry. So again, this was something that I saw that Ralph Wiedenhort and his group were looking at, and I took that and I adapted some activities there. So a lot of these pieces I began to start putting in my class over the years. Oh, and what else did well, I happened to take a sabbatical in the year 2000, academic year 2017-18, where I visited some of these places. I went to University of Maryland for 2 days to talk to the folks there, to see all the labs there. I went to Swarthmore for a day, Rockhurst for a day, Portland State for 5 months. That's where I spent the majority of my time, where I was trying many of the labs there and writing new curriculum for fluids and biomechanics and making a video series. So I knew for myself, if I'm going to learn these materials and to know how to do the labs, I need to really invest myself. I need to throw myself into this. And so that's what I did. Reset. What if I have to start again? What if I come to a new environment? So now I'm at Hamilton College. It's my second year here. And this coming spring, a few weeks from now, by the time you're seeing this, I'll get to teach a lecture course here for the first time for the pre-med majors, a Physics 2 course. So I'm so excited to come here and bring these ideas here. But we don't have a studio format. There's no modeling format, so it's sort of lecture classroom, as many folks are used to. There's new equipment here, which means most of the equipment I was using before isn't here. I've ordered the parts for the circulatory system model, but a lot of the other pieces I may not have. And, oh, pandemic, right, there's that going on. So it's the lab's going to be completely online. And some of the students may be remote. We have many of our students in person in the fall, and I expect that to be true in the spring, but there will be some that'll be remote. Yeah, here we go again. So little steps. As I'm beginning to develop this course, I'm taking little steps. My goal is, first of all, IPLS, but also I want it to be very PER informed. I'm not going to touch the lab yet. We're just going to use the labs that are just for the regular class, which is not going to fit great, but I'm going to do what I can, and I'll share with you a little bit of what I have in mind for that. Traditional Physics 2 topics at Hamilton are pretty much like what you might see elsewhere: electricity, circuits, magnetism, induction, geometric optics, wave optics, modern physics. So here's my first crack at this IPLS sequence. Magnetism, induction, modern physics, all out. I want to start by spending some time looking at just some techniques on how to learn physics to get some buy-in to why I'm not just going to lecture at the students. I will go into electricity, charge, force, potential, and then get into electric current, but I want to spend some time with circuit applications. And then we're going to do fluids. So I actually talked to the instructor doing Physics 1 and said, don't do fluids. She was quite happy to not do fluids because she only had a week to spend on it anyway, and I want to spend about 3, maybe 4 weeks on it. So I'm going to do my full fluids unit on pressure volume, fluid statics, dynamics, and fluid applications, and diffusion. And then we'll wrap up the course with optics. So ray optics, image formation, and then wave optics as well. We're going to go Waffle House. So depending on what part of the country you are in, you may not have Waffle Houses, but Waffle House is up and down the eastern seaboard pretty much, not as far north as where I am, unfortunately. They stay open all night long, and one of their classic things they have is their hash browns. And you can get them regular, you can get them large, triple, smothered with onions, covered with melted cheese, chunked, diced, peppered. So when you order them, you say, I want them smothered, covered, chunked, and topped. So I'm going to do my class that way. So this is my new IPLS course. Class pedagogy is going to be flipped, peered, IPLS, quiz, specificated, projected, and metacognated. What? What does all that mean? So hash browns, pedagogy done your way. So flipped. First of all, I'm talking about the flipped classroom. And I want to give that a try. I haven't actually tried flipped classroom before. Modeling instruction is kind of like a flipped classroom, but I'm not in a studio lab space and I'm not really doing modeling, so I can't quite do that. So this is going to be my first crack at flipped classroom in the lecture class. Curating instead of creating all the time. Yes, I will definitely be recording some of my own videos, but what other resources can I find out there? Can I find videos that have been done by other folks teaching the topic? Can I assign readings? Can I assign audio recordings for folks to listen to? Things that have been done already, and I'm just kind of putting all the pieces together and sending them and say, here, take a look at this. And then when you come into the classroom, we're going to work with this material. Peered, so peer instruction, so very well known in the physics community. So I'm hoping I'll be mostly in class and I can still kind of do peer instruction, sort of the way one might hope to do, but I expect that we may be online or some folks are going to be remote, and hopefully I can use some breakout rooms to do some peer instruction. IPLS, of course, so I want to have all topics connected to physics for the life sciences. Quizzed. I'm not going to do any exams. And that's certainly something I've heard just generally in pandemic times, that it's better to stay away from these really big, high-stakes exams. But I think this is just true in general. And I've done things like this before, but I'm just going to stick completely to quizzes. So each week, a short 10 or so minute quiz. What else? Specificated. I want to try some specifications grading ideas, and this comes from a book by Lyndon Nielsen, and there are other similar types of ideas and different models, but generally it's going to be kind of getting away from grading everything on a points basis and more about sort of completion, or is it incomplete? Projected. I want to do more projects. I want to do a lot more projects. Things that are student-led. Students can decide what it is that they want to study, so it's not always me choosing what they're going to study, but the students working together to study topics maybe outside of even what I've presented, or maybe inside what I'm presenting, and they go into greater depth. Having students write their own homework questions and write some of their own lessons and teach each other and teach the class. So I want to bring more of that into the classroom. Metacognated, so metacognition. We're going to do a portfolio where, yeah, they're submitting homework assignments, but they're reflecting on things they thought they did well in those assignments, things that didn't go quite as well for them. And for on their quizzes, to be able to do quiz corrections and to think about what it is that didn't go well in that quiz. So I want them really thinking about their learning. So IPLS reminders for myself. There's no shortcut. This is going to require curiosity, humility, dedication, and time, and a willingness to be this novice learner again. So as I prepare for IPLS, I gather my favorite textbooks around me. So maybe I pull some stuff out of Physics and Modern Medicine. I got the Physics of the Human Body here. Physics of the Body, that's a good one. So biomedical applications, lots of great questions in this book. Very important, a human anatomy and physiology book. That is key. Oh yeah, during my sabbatical, I also sat in on both A&P1 and A&P2 courses. That was illuminating. Oh my gosh, there's so much great physics in anatomy and physiology. Gather my favorite websites. So the Nexus website. So I've been going there for years to find ideas. Go to Rockhurst University, a lot of the great work that Nancy Donaldson's been doing. A lot of her work is starting to get up on the Living Physics portal. Kansas State, their Modern Miracle medical machines. So I checked that. I haven't done as much with that, but I think there's a lot of great work there. The Humanized Physics Project, Catherine Crouch and what she's doing at Swarthmore. A lot of those materials are going to start getting up on the physics portal as well. Oh, shiny new site for Nexus now. Looks very nice. And of course, the Living Physics portal, which I've been mentioning. So this is a fantastic new resource that I've been digging into and looking at as I'm starting to prepare this course for the spring. But finding that doesn't make it easy. Just having those materials there, it's like I can search for things, I can download them, but there's still so much work to do. So do I feel ready? No, I feel like an imposter. What am I doing? I still don't feel like I know that much about the physics of life sciences, and I've been looking into this for 7 years now. I'm feeling pretty good about fluids. I feel like I've really got that. But outside of that, I haven't done as much as I wish I would have. So my confidence is a bit low there. And I don't really know how to decide on lab activities. That's been a tough piece. Will I like the particular activity? There may be a couple different options for, say, the EKG lab. But will I like the one I pick out? How do I pick out the one that I will like? How do I build it? Once I pick one out, They're not prepackaged and ready to go. How do I get that made? How many of these can I make in a given semester? And is this going to take a lot of time? Is it going to take a lot of time to build? I mean, these are pieces that I'm definitely thinking of. So I have a wish list. Ready to go labs. I would love to be able to buy a complete setup from Vernier, Pasco, Arbor Scientific, somewhere else. Somebody want to start a company on this. And I want to see instructional YouTube videos. So I want to be able to buy the parts. And if I can't buy the parts, I want to know how to build them. Have a parts list, how to get them, how to build them. Videos to show me how to build them. Videos to show me how to run these labs. That would be a great way for me to really get into this and to know how to do it. Because if I'm just reading packets of material, that's so hard to get into. But with videos, I can see something. A physics for the life sciences textbook. That comes from our community. I really love to see a textbook. There's some great online textbooks. Certainly UMD has this wonderful online textbook. But I love working from a physical text. There's still something about that. I would love to see that happen in our community. A multi-week workshop akin to modeling instruction. So I went to a 2-week modeling instruction workshop when I got going back in 2010, teaching to college level. And that just set me off to know how to use a complete curriculum going into my first semester. And I'm still just improvising that original framework. It's so important to have a framework. So if we could have multi-week workshops for IPLS to help build a framework for an entire curriculum, boy, how far that would go. I mean, I would attend that in a heartbeat. I would probably teach part of it, but I would attend it in a heartbeat. A weekly source of I don't know, interviews and content that I can listen to on my commute so that I can stay up to date in the community. Well, okay, I took care of that one myself. I made a podcast called Physics Alive. Just started in November 2020. Check out my other session at this meeting. I've provided a link for you that you can check that out and learn a lot more about this podcast. Just generally, if you want to see some of my objectives, you can give a quick pause here and take a look at what I have in mind. And some of my early guests, just to give you a sense of the folks I've talked to: Sam McKagan, Director of Phys Joe Reddish at UMD, Nancy Donaldson at Rockhurst, Ariel Paul from FET, Kate Fruby, one of my former students who started a podcast, she talked about her education experience. James O'Brien, he and a group of other faculty created an awesome lab game called Sector Vector. Brian Lane at University of North Florida, who talks about computational physics. So please, you can check out my website, physicsalive.com, and you can find the podcast episodes on your usual podcast vendors. And check out the show, share it with a friend, recommend a guest. That'd be awesome. This podcast is for all of us, and so I want to hear your feedback. So what are the takeaways? Creating an IPLS course, or any course, is not easy. It takes curiosity, humility, dedication, and time. There are a lot of resources out there. Find your favorites. And don't try everything all at once. I have an IPLS wish list. Ready to go labs, an IPLS textbook, IPLS workshops. The Physics Alive podcast. Go check it out. And are you teaching a new IPLS course this spring? Or maybe not a new course, one you've done for years? Maybe we can form a weekly group and we can talk to each other along the way. Reach out. Let's see if we can put something together. All right, thank you so much for checking out my session. I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear how things are going with creating your courses. And let's teach and learn and be in this together. Thanks.